Hello again. Today we have a special guest with us again, Dr. Daniela Farkas, a leading expert in the field of senescence cells, also known as zombie cells. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Farkas.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. To start off, could you explain to our viewers what senescence cells are and why they are often referred to us as zombie cells?
Absolutely. Well, the third reason that we die and age is usually because of senescent cells. Senescent cells are cells that reach their lifespan created by the length of telomere and done into the genes, but they just do not want to die. And they still hanging around. Uh, they should be dead and should be recycled, but they don't want to die. And they do not become cancerous either. They just there occupying space and consuming resources that a good cell should consume. And instead of contributing something good to the organism as a whole, it contributes with a lot of toxins. The cells realize that they are not normal, and because they are not cancerous yet, they try to prevent themselves and the vicinity of the cells of becoming cancerous. So they produce those extremely toxic chemicals that are released indiscriminately inside the cell, poisoning everything around. So, in a nutshell, those are cells that should be dead, but they are not, and they do not contribute anything to the organism as a whole other than damage. Or I call the term zombie cell because I would imagine a zombie that should be dead and not around, it's still hanging around and scaring people around. So yeah, that's where the name is zombie cell, or coined like abnormal cell.
Fascinating. How do senescent cells contribute to aging and age-related diseases?
Because zombie cells are creating those toxins that are so poisonous, they kill a lot of microorganisms in the cell itself, and they kill a lot of cells in the vicinity. So somebody could imagine that the longer we live, the more likely we are to accumulate those abnormal cells into the body. If enough zombie cells accumulate into the tissue, it renders that particular tissue ineffective altogether. So it's exactly like a house that accumulates garbage. At one point, it was a good and useful thing like food, but the more you accumulate and do not throw out the old garbage, the less the new food would be able to be brought into the house, or the less room would be for anything to function normally. Eventually, because it will render the tissue ineffective altogether, the person would not, or that group of cells would not contribute to the well being of the tissue at all, and it will age that person. It will not have a function that it should be there. If this happens in the heart, for example, the
Yeah,
heart muscle power decreases. So let's say that you get, instead of like 5% senescence cell, you get 15. That means the heart, instead of working 95% efficient, would be 80. So yes, that's how it contributes to aging.
oh, interesting. Are
It
there, yeah, very interesting. Are there any natural mechanisms in our body to remove or eliminate these senescence cells?
absolutely. Look what happened in nature when we used to grow, like along, the evolutionary pathway. We didn't have food every day. We ate a good meal whenever our clan was able to hunt. That wasn't daily. Sometime weeks went by without a real food. Yes, we might had a fruit or a root or something, but we really didn't have a good meal. Uh, what happens when a person eats? When a person eats, whatever excess of nutrients the body has, it will try to save it for a rainy day. And it's the energy is saved in what we call fat, especially visceral fat. Well, that was excellent during evolution because we didn't have food every day. So the body has its reserves and it could use the reserve, and we bypassed the famine or the portion of the time when we couldn't eat. Well, when we don't eat, the body is very selective with the way it uses nutrients. First, it uses whatever is immediately available, like in the liver. Then it would go and it would open the reserves that are in the fat and use those and recycle uh, cells that are not perfect. People that have prolonged fastings, because of this quality of the body to make the house clean and to recycle damaged protein and damaged cell, get rid of cancer, get rid of the senescent cell, and get rid of a lot of toxins only by the mere fact of fasting. Once the senescent cells are removed, new cells are stimulated from a reservoir of stem cell that we have in the body as a new cell stem cell reservoir to produce brand new cells that work perfectly. So it's a very, very, very intelligent mechanism. It gets rid of toxins, it gets rid of extra fat, it gets rid of senescent cell, cancer, whatever you name it. It really cleans house. So this is the body's mechanism of removing the senescent cells. Besides this mechanism, there are also natural um, um, foods that promotes autophagy or self-eating, uh,
Mhm.
something like Camellia sinensis tea, bergamot tea, uh, usually things that detoxify would also stimulate that autophagy, but nothing compares to fasting. Exercise also stimulates autophagy because when we were in this environment where we didn't have food, the body is trying to preserve the muscles. So in case we see hunt somewhere a deer or something, we would have enough strength to run after the prey, or to run and preventing us from being the prey from other animals. So, from a standpoint, environmental standpoint, and evolutionary standpoint, the uh, muscles are preserved, the lean muscles. What is sacrificed are cells that are damaged and fat, which is awesome.
Yes. Are there any current treatments or therapies available to target senescent cells?
Yes, pharmaceutical is working, as you could imagine, pretty hard in trying to get rid of the senescent cells, especially for people that have a lot of senescent cells in the brain, for example, and are diagnosed with something called Alzheimer's or dementia. One of the root cause is accumulation of the senescent cells. So imagine the amount of research that is involved into that. As of now, they identify two pathways that are known to promote senescent cell. One is a TOR, or target of rapamycin pathway, which is known to stimulate senescent cells. So if we could inhibit this enzyme, uh, the net result would be less senescent cell. What inhibits rapamycin, TOR, or target of rapamycin, is rapamycin, of course, that's how it was discovered, but also metformin. People that use a very usual pill that is given to diabetics, that pill inhibits TOR. And um, besides this, there is another pathway that it was recently discovered that it's called mitochondria pathway. That if we save the mitochondria, usually that also preserves the cell function and um, prevents senescent cells from forming. You
Yes.
have to realize that once the senescent cells are removed by either pathway, like via medicine or via diet or lack of diet, altogether no food, or different teas, the body will make brand new cells, but it will not be stimulated to make brand new cells that are capable of replacing those old damaged cells until the house is clean.
Yeah, that's right. Could you tell us about some recent advancements of breakthroughs in the field of senescence cell research?
Yes, there was a panel of different chemicals to see exactly which one would be more effective than the others. One that stood up was phenacetin, which is a nutrient that you can consume as a vitamin. Another one would be resveratrol, which is a pigment taken from like grapes. And another one that was very high, it's something that was discovered from sperm. It's called spermidine. That it's extremely effective in removing senescent cells. Nothing compares to fasting and exercise, because people in our day don't enjoy fasting too much. There is a way of increasing uh, the senescent cell turnover with intermittent fasting. It is good. It's not as good as prolonged fasting, but it's a lot better than not doing anything. Also, high intermittent exercise. Uh, it's very good in stimulating autophagy.
Yeah, that's incredible. How do you see the future of senescent cell research and its potential impact on human health?
Many of the diseases that we know as of now are the direct result of senescent cells. This pathway is considered the third pillar that aging and dying rests on. So you could imagine the pharmaceutical company trying to attack the third pillar of aging. Just think of all the diseases that come from this isolated pathway. By attacking mitochondria, cancer comes, hypertension, kidney disease, osteoporosis, you name it. It is like really putting a prompt into keeping a person young. So the amount of research that the pharmaceutical company is in the billions, literally, not millions. Uh, how far did they advance? Um, it goes slow, and many times the research, if it involves a natural supplement, something like green tea, there is no money into it. So nobody is going to pursue this and put it on the market and spend like $500 million, and then everybody has free information and free green tea. The pharmacy was just, oh, by the way, it just cost like, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. So the pharmaceutical did develop, which are on stage 2 and stage 3 of trials from the FDA, different pills that attack senescent cells. How effective they are? Mediocre. One of the pill that's supposed to help, that it's shown to help, is pills that control the sugar pathway. And that's why uh, metformin was mentioned here. Uh, Other forms of controlling the sugar, like uh, Ozempic is so good because it limits the amount of food somebody eats altogether. But once you ingested the food, it does not allow the sugar to be absorbed. So, yes, this will be another pathway. Besides those, there are pathways that are developed at the University of Boston, in Harvard, and in John Hopkins. They are working very intensely, and um, the research is specifically on a couple of Yamanaka factor, which takes the cell backwards. It's like a rebooting of the computer. And for each day that somebody is exposed to Yamanaka factor, is could be equivalent to 1 year going backwards. Recently, I came across this trial that was supported by National Institute of Health, where people were given a specific diet consisting of 6 cups of vegetables a day and 1 egg a day, a little bit of protein, and one vitamin. And it showed that in 8 weeks, it reversed the clock by using the senescent cells to up to 11 years in 8 weeks, which is incredible. That is great because it's natural and it does not involve medication.
Yeah. You are the author of the book The End of Aging, available on Amazon. What can you tell us about the subject of your book? What's about?
I am already at the retirement age, and I work as a doctor in Florida, and I see a lot of people my age, and they look like my grandparents. And I see other people that look better than me, a lot better than me. And I was like so intrigued, like what makes some people coming to me with a bag of like 18 pills a day, or sometime coming in the wheelchair, and others that are like bursting with health. Why is this discrepancy? Because we are on this earth, hopefully, to enjoy life. And I start researching the aging only to find out that the um, National Institute of Health and uh, World Health Organization declare aging a disease. That means if it's a disease, it has a cure. And if it's a disease, it could be attacked from different angles. So I started to research to see exactly why do we age really, because from a chemical standpoint there is no reason to get sick. And for the last 30 years of your life, you enjoy the first 25 years, they are great. The next 20-25 is like working like a dog, and the last ones are like mending your ailments. And this is stupid. If you have a life of 100 years or 80 years or whatever it is, you should enjoy it and then close your eyes and gone. There is no reason for a country like United States to spend the amount of money it does to keep alive a nation that is super sick. Like, I work in the hospital, I see the nursing homes. Those could be eliminated if we have the knowledge of how to prevent uh, the consequences that we are used to uh, associate with older people, older folks. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think that 28 years of age was like, oh my God, this is so old. 28. Then, 40 became kind of like old over the hill. Now I'm close to retirement. I feel, oh my God, my life is starting. Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Thank you, Dr. Farkas, for sharing your expertise with us. Before we conclude, do you have any advice for our viewers on how they can promote healthy aging?
The first thing anybody could promote a healthy aging is to get educated. Why we age. This would be by far the most important one. Because once you know, you cannot not know. Once you know the pillars that aging rests on, you have the potential and the ability to intervene at each step. Then you cannot blame fate and say, my mother died of cancer, my father died of this at 25. That means I'm going to die at 30, so might as well eat and drink and be merry and die. No, you have a responsibility of taking care of yourself. And in my view, there is absolutely no more important task for a human being than to take care of themselves, to not become a burden for themselves and for the family and for the society. But it's mostly to avoid the associated consequences of not taking care of one person of oneself, and to enjoy life at the fullest, because what's the sense of being born and living this beautiful earth if we cannot enjoy it? So yes, this is my scope and my hope that people would get educated, because once they get educated, the the steps that they could take in order to prevent aging are not hard, but they need to know what they are.
Wow, wonderful advice. Thank you once again, Dr. Farkas, and see you back in a few days. Thank
See
you.
you, and I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate. Okay, bye bye.